the more you heal, the more comfortable you are, and the more willing you are to be the villain in the story of the folks who do not want to do the work of healing themselves. This is a post that's been going around on social media, and it's a post that I've been living through. And so I want to share a few messages for you about it that maybe might help you as you may be going through this too in the collective. Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and it is so good to share energy with you today. Hold on, I was looking for my fan thing. All right, guys. So let's get into this. The more that you heal, the more comfortable you are, and the more willing you are to be the villain in the story of people who don't want to do the work. I've gone through this in so many different ways, but I remember years ago when I was fully steeped and entrenched in my codependency. First of all, thank you for inviting me in. Come on in. I always want to welcome you guys. But when I was so deeply entrenched in my codependency that I was terrified to leave toxic or unhealthy relationships or things that I'd outgrown, or things where people were refusing not to grow, because I was determined to prove what an amazing friend I was. And I'll tell you guys, no good deed goes unpunished, that part, all right? And I spent a lot of time, years, money, a lot of my health invested into staying in relationships where people just wanted me proximal to them because I was a blessing in their life, or I was their favorite friend to chat with, or you name it. And you put yourself and interchange the position. What are you to people? How have you shown up in people's lives? What's the work that you do that makes you invaluable in someone's life? And yes, I promise you have high value. You are of high value. And that's why they may still want to be ugly to you, spite you, mean to you, lie to you, racist to you, but they don't want you to go anywhere. Okay? They want you to stay right there. But in order to really evolve, and you'll know that you're evolving when you don't want to stay there, and not only do you not want to stay there, you don't care if it means that to everyone else, you look like the heel. And that's a wrestling term, right? To be the heel. It's always like the bad guy in the wrestling. Like there's a good guy and a bad guy, and the heel would be the bad guy. And they're the villain in the story, and they make it exciting and fun. And I never thought I would ever be comfortable in that. I never thought I would be able to sit in that. I never thought that I would be okay with people looking at me a certain way. I used to care so much about what people thought, as a lot of us have. A lot of us have healed ourselves from that and reformed ourselves from that. But that's the truth of what happens. The more you heal, the less you care. And that is also something I've seen too. It's the less I care. The less I care about how I show up for people, about how I don't show up. And I'm not going to stay and live in inauthenticity because you want me to, because it's comfortable for you to keep us together in whatever the codependency is. Those words have never rung more true for me than in the last few years of my life, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years of my life, that I realized, like, what the fuck am I fighting for? Why put up a fight? Why am I staying here when you're not treating me right, you're not being right, and it's just siphoning years off of my precious life? Empath, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? And who are you doing it for? And would they return the favor for you? Because when I say no good deed goes unpunished, I have a whole video. I had Mercury retrograde stuff happen. I made 4 hours of video and it wasn't recording. The microphone literally wasn't recording. Mercury retrograde. This one hit me so hard, guys. I'm gonna make a video separately and talk about the positives and the negatives of this. But it fell literally on the date of my birthday, August 4th, and it ended yesterday, I believe, the 27th. But in any case, when I tell you every single thing happened in Mercury retrograde for me, I don't pay too much attention to it. I know it happens, but I'm gonna tell you, I felt the effects of this in every single possible way. Now, but in any case, I digress. When you are in that situation with somebody, you will understand that your peace is invaluable and your peace is priceless. You will not put yourself to stay in those situations. And I can feel, this is how I know I've healed, and this is how you may be able to gauge that you healed. I would have turned myself into knots to stay in connection sometimes just to prove that I was a good friend. And just to prove that, I wasn't bad, or just to not have someone ill think of me. And now I feel the energy of other people being clingy. And I'm like, oh, this is what I might have felt like to other people, because everything in life is a mirror. So maybe at some point you were the person that was hanging on and giving all that extra juicy energy, and people didn't appreciate it. And the reason I say that is, when I say no good deed goes unpunished, is those people that you're bending over backwards for and tying yourself into knots for happily are betraying you right to your face. They're treating you badly. They're gossiping about you. They're talking crazy to you. They're disrespecting you. Maybe they're using you for money, energy, whatever, right? And you still want them proximal in your life, and they have no problem choosing other people over you, choosing other situations over you in a blink of an eye. And you're there on the chain gang working, day and night, and trying to prove your love and your worthwhileness for what? And so that's how you know you've healed, because you'll feel what a lot of other people may have felt in a flipped and reversed reality. And what I feel is like, I can't wait to get out of it. I'm Houdini. I am like planning my escape when I can see that someone can't treat me well, and I've addressed it and we've talked about it, but they're spite and they think they're going to not just one up me, but quote unquote outsmart me. That never goes well for them. It's not because I'm the smartest, but my spirit team is. that part. Okay. If y'all know the song, then you know. That part, okay? So my spirit team is brilliant. They're beyond Mensa levels, okay? They real smart. But me, sometimes they trickle down a couple of, three pieces of information to me so that I can not stay in the same station for the rest of my life. And you have to decide what kind of life you have, what your journey is, what kind of person you are, what kind of light worker you are, what mission you're on, what kind of healing you do. But in my case specifically, I'm dispatched in to help people achieve certain things. And what I've realized is that I'm far more transient than I once believed. I was definitely I am a serial monogamist. I want to be with people forever and ever and ever. Amen. We go together real bad. But if you're not going to respect me, then that's null and voided immediately. And that's how I know I've healed. I used to be a glutton for punishment, a glutton for long-suffering relationships where people were treating me like shit. And now I wish that I could go and Chuck Norris Roundhouse spiritually kick all of those people, because I'm embarrassed with all the Z's. I'm embarrassed. It's embarrassing. Stand up for how much I was on my knees for people and trying to people please. And that's how you will know you healed. Now, when you know you've healed, and maybe you're working with someone and you think they have the capacity to heal as well, but they don't want to come along with you, what they're going to do is drag you down crabs in a barrel or crabs in the sand. I just saw a short popped across my feed, and I knew that it was my angel saying, this is how we set you free. I'm going to include it below. It is of a turtle trying to crawl, a baby turtle just hatched into this world, trying to crawl out with his brothers and sisters to head to the sea. And there is a crab, which is a representation of your unhealed friends and family, or lovers, or whoever, you fill in the blank, a pale white crab, a white transparent crab that is literally trying to grab that turtle and pull it back in. Now, it was very poignant for me because turtle is literally my favorite animal totem, okay? And I liken it very much to me and my journey. And it's trying to grab this crab back in, and then out of nowhere appears a foot, and that foot would be representative of your spirit team that's much smarter than all of us, and that guides us, and it literally moves the sand around so that the crab gets a little scared off. It goes in a different direction. The baby turtle is able to then proceed about its business. So it wasn't just crabs in a barrel. It's more predatory. That crab was going to eat that turtle. That was its dinner. And that's what you guys need to understand about these people that are unhealed or around you is that they are siphoning your energy and they want to eat your life force, okay? And maybe even eat you too, girl. I don't know. But what I do know is that your ancestors and your angels and your spirit team intercept it, and they allow you to do the healing so that you can make a run for your next journey, your next opportunity, your next connection, your next state of peace. I'm channeling Ariana right now. I'm in a state of mind. Like, they might be thinking about you all the time, but I just want a peace of mind. A lot of times people that are unhealed will monkey branch in relationships, meaning they will leave one relationship and swing right into the other. I call it like a monkey swing to the next relationship. And what we do as empaths and earth angels is we heal. We go into hermit mode. We are not trying to be up underneath somebody else. I don't need to have someone next in line to take up the space. I don't need to have someone completely in my face when I disconnect from a connection. It's because I'm actually healing. I actually do the work so that when new people come in, I'm not bleeding on them. I'm not trauma bonding with them. I'm actually connecting. But a lot of people can't understand or take for a reason that you just left them because you wanted to leave them. And that's also message. Some of the most intense leavings, when I want to leave someone energetically, spiritually, platonically, romantically, you name it, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, no matter what's happening, guys, when you want to leave someone and you just want out and you don't have anyone next and you're not lining up a next opportunity or a next person or a next family member to be your new family member to connect to or whatever, that should tell you so much about how bad it was where you were. Because it's healthy to leave and then just chill for a minute and really take a minute to recuperate and replenish yourself personally and one-on-one with your spirit team. Fall in love with them. Be best friends with them. Let them be your replacement family members. But people can't fathom that because the people that you're leaving usually are incredibly codependent. They don't want to do the healing. Doesn't mean they're bad. I once was them. Trust me, I know it. But it's like, oh, now I see what people saw when they were looking at me when I was like, oh, I'll take all your toxic ass treatment and let you disrespect me to my face and I'm just going to stay here and how can I make you a cake? Like, fuck that. We're done with that. It reminds me when Jay-Z was being a turncoat because hashtag his money doesn't jiggle, it folds. And he was in a meeting with Roger Goodell and he was saying, they're talking about no longer taking a knee. The NFL wanted to turn the tide on what the stance of protest was. And Jay-Z says, we're past kneeling, right? Well, that was not politically sane. Obviously, he had an investment, different message for a different day. But empath, we're past groveling, we're past kneeling, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, terrible example, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. You don't go back down for people that are not trying to evolve, but then want to stay in your face. Literally, that's my namesake here on the channel. That's literally what I do. And so I take it very seriously, and I think so do you, if you're still here. If you show up, if you're A1, day one, or a regular, or you're brand new, but something here resonates with you, then you have the work of releasing toxic people to do. And if you're trying to ask them, and you're praying over them, and you're counseling them, and you're teaching them hands-on, what they are now addicted to is your energy, guys. It's not that they actually want to change. And sometimes I step back and I'll look at the people, if there's a cutoff that my angels are downloading to me, I'll be like, okay, so I've been counseling you and giving you this good energy, and in my case, I do this for a living, so it's quantifiably good energy, and I've been doing it essentially for free because I love you. And I don't see any change. I don't see you manifesting anything. I don't see you making some pivot. I don't see you harnessing your creative energy, your sacral energy, your whatever. And then there's other people that I can't see that they're making changes. I see it with clients. I see it with friends. But if you don't want to make any changes and what you want is just my connection, my energy, to siphon more energy off of me, but never to apply it to your life in any physical reality. And so when you disconnect and say, you know what, I can see that this is just not going to be working for me, then you become Houdini, okay? I'm not saying to ghost people, but I definitely escape. things that people think I can't. I will find a cosmic loophole and I'll be like, I'm out of here. and I mean it, because people are used to, in today's society specifically, toxic relationships that loop infinitesimally, where people are going back and they're spinning the block forever, and it's been a year and then someone's texting, hey, big head, and you guys know what I'm saying, right? And excuse me, whether it's someone that is trying to spin the block and it's romantic or platonic, or a friend that was toxic, if they haven't changed, they haven't changed. And when you realize that they are not only not capable of not changing, but they're committed to their effery and their disruption and siphoning your energy, because it's delicious, empath, then you get to step away. But then when you do, now what you will face, whether they are a narcissist or not, just any run-of-the-mill low vibrational person, and we all have been low vibrational, okay? So for all have sinned and come short of the glory, right? So this is not me saying like we're so much better, but those of us that do our work are different. They're not like us. That part. And so what? Because it takes work to do this work. It hurts to be alone. It hurts to cut off things that are comforting to you in your codependency. But every one of you here listening has done it, except for if you're a cross watcher and you're just stalking. You know. If you know, you know. So, how are they going to know? We know. I know. Well, what I'm going to tell you guys is this. If then you are like, I can't be around because this is making me sick. And at this point in my life, specifically, people that are inauthentic make me sick. Not just as a turn of phrase. I am talking about physically ill. And pay attention, empath, autoimmune issues in the empath is a real thing. And so if you have these undescribable, hard to diagnose autoimmune issues, and sometimes eventually years later you get diagnosed like me, it's because you've been letting people siphon off of your energy. You're in relationships with people who didn't want you to go, but wanted to treat you like shit to your face, and then insist that you stay and then make them a plate. They've lost their goddamn mind. And on my watch, the demon time that I'm on is harnessing the demons and my shadow side so that I can teach you how to break on through to the other side so that you can run free to the ocean like that little turtle did when the interception of the foot, essentially, the archetype of God, stepped in and said, not today, Satan. This little one's going to go swim. You cannot have him for lunch. You don't get to siphon his energy. You don't get to pull him back into the murky depths so that he can never be free because you are steeped in your misery. Because guys, what do you know? Misery loves company. And so when you decide, gotta go, you're gonna go swim, you're gonna go explore the wide open and beyond, then all of a sudden you are evil because you wouldn't stay in their cesspool pond. You're the villain, and you better be comfortable with that. It's something I quite like now. I didn't used to, and that's how I know I've healed too. That might be a marker that you need to look at yourself regarding and see, do you understand what I'm saying? Does it feel nice to be free? And is the cost of your freedom worth being the villain in their story? For me, it is. I love a good story. I love to write. I love to speak and connect. And I have no problem with them playing that over and over in their head. Was I the villain? Okay. In retrospect, if they have any sense of real evolution, emotional or spiritual growth, later they'll realize what the truth was. But immediately, let them have that. That's their favorite thing. It will be their new pain to go to sleep with and coddle. You were the villain. And that shit's hilarious to me. You're not the villain if you decide to heal. You beg them to heal. You teach them to heal. You teach them to be authentic. You teach them to tell the truth. And then they look at you and they lie to you. Immediately. Post haste. As soon as they can. And play in your face. And what I don't tolerate now is anyone playing in my face. I don't care how long I've known you. I don't care how long you've been ingratiated. It doesn't mean that it's about being cutthroat, guys, but it's about having self-respect. And now I understand what that is. I remember having people project that, like, you don't respect yourself. And I was like, what are you talking about? Just love me. Now I get it. Stand up. Stand up. Now I get it. I do respect myself, and I'll respect myself away from you. You can think whatever you want of me. You can think whatever you want of whatever perceived insecurities or outward ones that I share, because I'm pretty transparent here. But what you will not do is think that I am going to love you more than I love me. That is actually insane. And that's what makes us go crazy, empath, when you're trying to give all this love to someone and they don't even want to change. They don't want to be better. They don't want to grow. They just don't want you to go. And so when you do go, you'll be the one that everyone will have to hear about. Did you hear what she did to me? Do you hear what they did to me? Do you hear what the collective did? Do you hear how they did me? Just one day I woke up and everything changed. But how many days did they not tell their friends and family and lie to and say, how many days did the collective try to help me change? How many days did the collective teach me how to tie my spiritual shoes? How many days did the collective come through? How many days did the collective carry me? How many days did the collective listen to me? How many days did the collective advise me? How many days did the collective guide me? How many days did the collective cry with me? How many days did the collective dry my tears? How many days did the collective stand up for me while I spit in their face? How many days? So many. So now if you get face, villain face, you get face, then that's what you get to give. You earn that. And be okay with it. Be better than okay with it, because it means my job is done. I know that when I'm dispatched into people's life, it's like a rocket ship. Hang on and take the ride. Well, our energy is expansive, guys. As an empath and an earth angel, you will help people grow. You have the golden touch, the Midas touch, and you can help them manifest anything. When I become friends with someone, I figure out what it is that they want. What are their wildest dreams? And I am still working on mine too. But what I do is I make sure to pour energy into whomever I'm in connection with so that they can manifest what is the most important for them too. And everyone gets to choose, and everyone chooses what works best for them. Some people are more attached to their misery and to their comfort and codependency than they are to their ascension. Some people see the opportunity and they will take the ascension rocket and they will turbo boost their dreams to go in that direction. You may not stay in everyone's life forever. We are dispatched in for a time, a season, and a place. There are some people that you will be lucky to have longevity with that will stay and stay and stay. But here's what I've learned about that longevity. Excuse me. It's predicated upon your authenticity. I used to think that it was like, do we get along? And if we never have a row or whatever. But now the deal breaker for me now is, are you a liar to yourself? Because then you will definitely lie to me. Are you a liar to your spirit team? Because you'll lie to me. But are you not steeped in authenticity? Are you not being honest? Because we won't always like each other. We won't always agree. And if you can be honest about that with the collective or with me, then the contract gets to be renewed and extended for as long as we want it to be, because we're both working on our healing, actually. What that looks like specifically is knowing who your shadow is, being in touch with that, integrating that with you, being okay with the uglier parts that are hard to look at sometimes. When you feel sad, jealous, mad, upset, triggered, can you share that with whomever? Fill in the blank. Platonic, romantic, familial, co-worker, whatever. Whoever you're in relationship with, can you be honest with them? Because then the contract will extend. But what is a null and void for me automatically is inauthenticity. There's a lot of things. Triangulation, inauthenticity. I could go down the list. But the primary one that actually really, really sticks is inauthenticity, sis. If you will be authentic, then we're going to be fine. Because I can trust what you're saying. I can trust you don't lie. And I can trust that even if we're in distress, that you will harness your demon and not just be on demon time, but figure out how to go through that duress with communication until we cross the next finish line. Anyone that's not willing to do that work is going to be someone who will then make you the villain in their story, because you're like, I can't stay here with you because it's going to get gory. I don't do well with liars, and I don't do well with people that are fake friends, and I don't do well with family members that want to play in my face time and time again, and I don't do well with lovers and soulmates and whomever I'm seeing. If they are trying to bring out this demon out of this Caribbean queen, okay? Caribbean queen. So I don't deal with that energy. But now I realize why in the past I was perceived as clingy, and why I was mired and steeped in my codependency, and how people would step over me and step on my neck and step on my face and mush me into the dirt energetically. It's because they were like, you don't even respect yourself, because I know I'm trying you. People know when they're trying you. But you're not speaking up and saying anything about it because you're like, well, let me just see. And that's how you know you've evolved and you started to actually love you. And if you love you and they don't want to grow with you, then when you leave, they're going to talk shit about you. You can't care about that. Because time will tell, time will tell. And if you played it right, and if you were authentic, and if you were guided, the foot of God stepped in and said, no, not today, Satan. Turtle, go swim free. Crab, you run off into obscurity like Casper. Be the friendly ghost. Then what will happen is eventually the scales of justice will balance. You never did anything to hurt people, but you did things for the betterment of your growth and your sanity and for your peace. A lot of you guys just wanted peace. You didn't want the next dude, the next girl. You just wanted peace. And what you were in was not peaceful for you. It was disrespectful. And also, y'all know what I say. Know your demon and shadow side. Should you stay, then they can get you into a fight. And narcissists and low vibrational people love for you to stay there to fight with them. After I explain myself thoroughly, you all know what my communication style is. So if I'm ever in a situation where someone is playing dumb with me, that's because it's something that they want to be. They want to be dumb. Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Because I know I have clearly said to them, this is the issue. Here's how we could correct it. Are you aware this is happening? And if they say yes to me, which they usually do over time, and maybe they might even feed an apology, but inside what's brewing is spite and anger and resentment of me, that's going to seep out of their pores. And that's one of those loopholes that I use to set myself free. Because they will turn into a full-blooded demon asshole to you. And then be like, but wait, you're going to leave me? I remember leaving my twin and being like, girl, I can't do this with you. You won't tell the truth to yourself, to Jesus, to God, to your passed away mother. I can't. I cannot. And she tried to guilt trip me in the deep of the night, like any good F-boy or F-girl will do. And she was like, I can't believe you're abandoning me. The way she had treated me before I quote-unquote abandoned her was so atrocious, y'all, that I used to have those Callista heart. If you guys ever watched Callista Flock, Ally McBeal was the show. Sorry, I'm dating myself. Her name was Callista Flockhart. I think that's the actual actress. But Ally McBeal is the show. She's married to Harrison Ford, if you want to see what she looks like. Ally McBeal was like a really popular show in the 90s. And it was funny because during it, she would have like these flashes. Like, you know how the memes and like on social media, it'll say, they let their intrusive thoughts win. Well, the show was really predicated on Ally McBeal's intrusive thoughts. And so her intrusive thought would be like, let's say she saw a really hot guy at a car wash, right? She would have this, like, the next scene would be them making like passionate love and being all soapy on the top of a car. It wasn't really happening, but you wouldn't know until she would flash back to herself. So she would have like these very vivid kind of like, imaginations and dreams of what the reality could be. Or let's say like someone crossed her. She was a lawyer. Let's say someone crossed her and talked to her crazy in one of her cases, or her defendant or the opposing counsel or whatever. She would like have this like vision of like running up and like punching them, or running up and like sweeping their legs from out underneath them, or knocking their coffee out of their hand. Just like the intrusive thoughts that we all like, tame, right? We're humans, right? Not savages for the most part, right? So the thing is, if you stay in those situations with those people to make them happy and you people please, what's going to come out of you is those intrusive thoughts, except they'll become reality. And what happens with them, the reason that your angels allow you to be set free is they let their intrusive thoughts win about you, because people really get upset when you start to heal and you're like, no, I'm happy to stay, but you also have to grow too, and not just in the way that I want you to, but grow in a way that's in accordance for you. I need to see you make changes too. That twin was so atrocious to me, and so unkind to me, and literally was like throwing things at me and having tantrums and not letting me in the house and triangulating me and just doing stuff that's crazy. That for a long time I had those Ally McBeal intrusive thoughts after the first year or two when I left, about how I just wanted to let my intrusive thoughts win, because I couldn't believe the disrespect. Don't stay steeped in something. And I also couldn't believe that I stayed as long as I did dealing with the disrespect. So now I can see it coming from a mile away. And I might let you seem like in my face you're going to play, but even my ancestors step in just like that foot did. Please watch the clip and say, absolutely not, sis. And then once you disappear from them, you're even more of the villain, because what will happen is a karmic retribution that you were holding back by staying proximal. Some of them may not even understand it, but maybe intuitively they do. They're like, I still have to stay close to you, even though I hate you, even though I'm jealous of you, even though I once admired you, but now I hate you, and now I'm trying to like mimic you, and now it's just weird. It gets really weird, guys. Anybody watching, you know exactly what I'm saying. And so they just instinctively know, like, I just have to stay close. I don't know why I have to stay close. I just have to stay close. And then that they're suffocating you. They want to stay close. And you're like, wait a minute. No. Because what happens for people, if you're like, what's going to happen and when do they get their karma? Well, depending on what happened, not everything is huge drama that karma, you know, like that would be, you know, warranted. But your protection is gone from them. And what happens is when you step away, when you emotionally disconnect and you're sick of their disrespect and you want nothing to do with them ever again, and you mean it in your spirit, not just with your words, not letting them spin the block back when they spin, because they will always and every single time spin. What you do by disconnecting from them is allow them to sit in the reality. And guess what? It's a 2-for-1. Their healing will then begin. Some people will remain in their stagnancy, but they will still get. My angels showed this to me with clients and in my own situations. Upon you really disconnecting from them, they then, if you really loved that person, if you really cared about them, what they will then have an opportunity to do is really begin to look at whatever it was that you were trying to work with them on, whatever was the healing that you were dispatching to help them do. And in your absence, they may hate you, but because of you, you will be a catalyst for the spiritual work that they're called to do. And I am so committed to teaching and helping people evolve, if it means that I have to be the tribute that removes myself from the scenario so that you can hate me enough into your healing, that I volunteer to do it. I don't need to be there. I don't need the relationship. I don't need the reconciliation. I don't need the sweet nothings. I don't need the things that I get. I get a lot of energy from people that loved to treat me with disrespect. They would never treat people, man. Oh, I just had to pull my demon in right there. Oh, the shadow side just wanted to jump out. I have a couple of people in mind specifically. Who? Angels. Oh, God. You see? That's why you cut yourself free. When people play like that in your face, I think of one person specifically that wouldn't dare treat people the way that she treated me. And not my twin or whatever. Wouldn't dare. Was a beggar at people's door energetically, and was desperate for acceptance and contorted herself into the most uncomfortable situations and places, and chalked it up to, well, I just didn't know better. Okay, sis. But you knew better to treat me that way because you had been treated that way. And so now I removed myself from that connection so that she can face whatever reality she needs to face. That one will have karma for sure, because she went out of her way to be not only immature, but incendiary and insidious. Okay? So that one specifically, I was like, no, sis, I hate it for you because you fucked up. Angels and empaths listening, you truly, truly are protected. And people love to play in your face. And I heard a channel message today from some other reader. It's over. It's fucking over. No more Mrs. Nice Guy. Your ancestors want you specifically. This is a message from my ancestors specifically. My father said to me, as I have been on my little journey here in life, he says, stop being so empathetic and nice. I've been watching how these people do you, what they say about you, and I'm calculating how I'm going to repay this on your behalf, and there is no emotion in it for me, and it shouldn't be for you. Some of us empaths are so nice to people that do not wish us well, that want us to die. When we're not gonna be there to fill them up anymore, they're like, fucking die, B. I hope you unalive yourself. People wish death upon you guys when you pull away. They can't believe the audacity that you will not stay for their disrespect and for them to play in your face. The audacity of you. How dare you love yourself? Who do you think you are? Me. I'm her. That's who I am. And now their work can begin. And it's not always altruistic. Sometimes I just want to get the fuck away from them. And you should too. Okay? And if you've never felt that, then you may have some more healing work to do. I promise you, there's a resolute and absolute feeling of I cannot stand you. And I mean, there's things to be said about how we separate and Sun Tzu and the art of war, and someone who was once an ally is now your enemy. And, you know, we can talk about the psychology of it. I address that in various videos here. But today, the message you need to hear is this, and it's super clear. Be happy to be the villain in their story. And when you feel that sense of elation, I feel very much I'm channeling Scarface here. I'm channeling Tony Montana when he's like, you need bad guys like me. You need bad guys. You need bad guys. I'm not trying to be Chun-Li, but you need bad guys like me. I'll be the bad guy. Oh, the thunder just rolled. And the thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night. And as the storm rolls in, out of control, deep in someone's heart, the thunder rolls. There's a rumbling. And that thunder also is Odin. Odin has to do with speaking the truth. Odin has to do with being the decider and the arbitrator of the truth that is spoken, being the judge of a thing. If you are familiar with Viking and Norse and whatever mythology, but if you're dealing with Odin's energy, with thunder, I think of Odin, then the Odin speaks. And a lot of you guys, whether you are into that or not, understand that the archetype that's working with you when you leave people and you have to be the villain is that you told the fucking truth. Something that they couldn't do if you paid them, if you wrote it for them, if you put it in their hand. They were incapable of honesty with themselves, with their family, friends, any woman or man. So why do you think they could do it for you? But are you going to stay there to be corrupted and consumed? No. You have other work to do. You have other people that will appreciate you, that will see you as a gift, and that will utilize whatever energy you're taking to them and not just siphon it, but be thankful for it, grateful for it, acknowledge it, and actually not just fully depend on you, but put in their own juice and their own manifestation work and their own energy and do their healing so that they can have things that manifest into their reality. I had someone the other day have something spectacular happen for her. It's something I've been holding space for her, wanting and wishing for her. And she said something really poignant to me, and it really touched me. And it wasn't even about our connection. It was about the juxtaposition of other realities and experiences that I excused myself from. She said, well, you said I was going to get this thing, so I just knew that I was going to get it. And I thought, oh, that's so sweet that you put so much faith in me, but it's not me. The angel said that you were going to get it. You know, I like stopped her and corrected her in that moment, only because who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a bag of bones and flesh here, but I am a conduit. I try to be, and a clear one for you guys in the collective and for my clients and for me. And I did hear clearly from my angels that she was going to get the thing, and she got it. But her energy was of kindness and not only gratitude, but she was like, she said something so sweet. She was like, you know, I feel like I hit the jackpot. You know, I've heard that before from other people, but then they get corrosive in it and they corrupt it. And they're like, how can I keep this jackpot just next to me and not just appreciate it? But what I will say to my good sis is this. She literally put 25 million on the little 10 of my belief and my manifestation. And she totally did all that work. She did all of it. I didn't do anything. She totally made that thing come into reality. But what I did do is believe. And that's an archetype for how we show up in the collective to people, guys. Okay? She's done that for me. There have been things that she helps me with too. But what I'm going to tell you is this. We show up that way. If someone respects and values you, they're not going to depend on you 100% and totally. She didn't. Not at all. It's a couple of 3 words. That's it. She did all the rest of it. She manifested all the rest of it. But she understood that there's an energetic vibration when you're in alignment with someone who has a kindred spirit. A lot of people recognize what you were offering, and they knew, but they're like, let me take this from you. Let me beat you. Let me siphon from you. Let me eat you. You stay here next to me. I never want to change, but I'm going to challenge and see what work you're going to do. But as long as you stay here and work for me too. Indentured servanthood? Absolutely not. Slavery? Not today. Not for me. But people that want to work with you, you guys can grow together, and you can grow exponentially because you're not draining each other. There is a gratitude acknowledgement. There are some checks and balances, and there isn't codependence, but interdependence and working together fairly. It's possible, y'all, but you know how you get to those other relationships and other tribesmen that come in and other connections and other homie lovers and friends and other family members is when you say an absolute resolute no to people that are mired in their inauthenticity. It is hard to grow. Say a prayer for them. Be compassionate, but stop being so damn nice. Nice for what? As Drake would say. Nice for what? So that in your face they can play? Stop being so damn nice, because they have to grow and they have to go their own way. And you offer to hold their hand and let them grow. When my twin said, you're abandoning me, I thought, my God, I just did 20. I just put 20 years of my life into trying to help you be right. And by the end of it, you were siphoning my energy. You thought it was your energy. You tried to take my life, not only mimic me, you tried to be me. And then you wanted to kick me in the face so disrespectfully. Did I abandon you? You abandoned you, sis, a long time ago. And I stayed to witness it. And now you want to guilt me to stay more because you feel like shit. Let them feel like shit. Let them feel like shit. How many times did you feel like shit, collective? How many times were you frustrated, collective? How many times did you feel taken advantage of, used, taken for granted, collective? Get people in your life that say, thank you, man. I know what this is, and I'm not going to fuck it up. Get people in your life that are willing to pull their own weight, just like you pull your own weight, instead of backing up to you like a dump truck with all of their shit and wanting you to clean and transmute it day after day. That is not a healthy kind of way. And when you start healing and evolving, you will not accept any of that. It won't even feel right to you. It is not a vibrational alignment to me. You know, one of my mantras is that money loves me. When I walk into a room, money is looking for me. It finds me, right? We all have our various abundance mantras. When I walk into a collective, tribesmen that are willing to carry their own weight find me. They're looking for me. They want to be friends with me. You should be calling that in for yourself, whether it's your finances, your money, your friends, your homie, or lovers. Call into you people that are willing to do the work with you. And that means that they're willing to heal. The thing that happened with that friend is that she's done her shadow work, and she does it on a repeated basis, consistently. And she's integral. Abe Lincoln, she will not tell a lie. Doesn't mean she hasn't. And that's one of my favorite things. It means she won't. She stands firm and tries. And I have other friends similar. I really see a lot of people that try to stand firm in their truth. I have a guy friend that's so honest, man, the gut punches. But he set me free because when I was dealing with a narcissist once, he came around the corner and he heard I was catering a party for her. And she was talking to me crazy. This is way, way, way back in the day. Zero self-esteem. But I'm throwing this like shindig. The food's amazing, and I am used to narcissistic people. You know what it is when you've been abused for a long time? So I didn't even know how she was talking to me. It was crazy. And he had heard it. Him and his wife had arrived, and he had heard it. And he pulled me aside, and he said, Mo, yo, the way that this lady was talking to you was nuts. And I was like, oh, she's just stressed out because I'm making excuses for this low vibrational piece of shit. And he's like, because I'm a professional. I'm like, well, I just got to get the catering done and whatever. And he's like, you are doing this incredible work for her. And she's talking to you crazy. He told me the truth, and it took my breath away, but it was the truth. That's someone that loves you. And that truth helped set me free. I didn't break up with her immediately, but I couldn't get his words out of my head because he saw something I couldn't see. And because I lost my depth perception dealing with her narcissistic energy for so long, I was so close to her. That's another thing, a message. You're so close to some of these people, you don't realize like, oh, this is really toxic. And then when you start to pull away a little bit, you see the manipulations, the machinations, the intentional duplicity, the intentional deceit, the intentional disrespect. They are trying to cut your neck. They love it. They want to. They like watching you feel a little beneath them. It's so fun for them. They want to do a bachata on your head, sis. Okay? They doing the salsa and a merengue, okay? On your head. Someone here is dealing with some Spanish aunt that's wild as a Taliban. I don't know who it is. So God bless you. Pull away, please, sis. In any case, what I'm going to tell you is this. That man set me free because he told me the truth and let me see reality. And again, my angels had stepped in. He was the foot of God that was dispatched in. You know, the ancestors put him in that space to come around the corner where I couldn't see him hearing me and hearing the exchange, but he heard it all. And he was like, this is sick and this is not right. And you're a good person and she's not treating you right. And I can't stand her. You know, it's so funny. This happened years and years and years and years ago. And we check in. That's like one of my homies. And he called me recently. He said, you know who I ran into? He says the name of this, the ex-narcissist that I cut off. I mean, I cut her off cold turkey when I did. And he said, and she tried to spin the block and all the things narcissists do, so just know that. But he said to me, she solicited me because he's a DJ. She solicited me to do a whatever for the hotel or whatever that she works for. And he was like, you know, and I had availability, Mo. But he's like, you know what? I didn't take the job. And I do not expect this of anybody, but it just really touched my heart. He said, I didn't take the job because I can never get out of my head how she talked to you and how she treated you. When you cut off people that are inauthentic, you pull in people that are like that. That shocked me. It was so beautiful. I was like, sir, money is money. Your money don't jiggle, it falls. I don't talk to her. I'm good. It's been years. I don't even think about her. And he said, no, but I do. And I will never forget that. And so I didn't take that job. And he's like, I'm not putting this on you, but I didn't take it because of you. Out of respect for you. That took my breath away. Those are the people in your life that you want to stay. People that will stand up for you in that way, that ride for you in that way, that have that kind of fervor for you and passion for you and do not play with you, but they'll also tell you the truth. He's told me a few inconvenient truths. I was dating someone in the last year or so, soulmate dating, and he was like, get rid of this bitch, like immediately. And I'm not going to say that I listened because I didn't completely, but I couldn't get his words out of my head. He wasn't wrong. Everything that happened, he was like, look, let me tell you listen. Let me tell you how this is going to go. He's hilarious. A Trinidadian friend. Shout out to you. He's not on here often, but he does sometimes pop through if you ever hear this. Homie, I love you, man. You're a good friend. But what I'm telling you is you have people in your life that will really see things right and they'll tell you the truth, okay? And that can happen. And I demand that, I expect it, and I give it. I also tell him truths. When he's acting up, and I'm like, hey, you got to be softer with your daughter or your wife or whatever. Like, you know, sometimes we get to speak into people's life, but he trusts what I'm saying. And it's funny, he said back to me one time, because he's not into all this astrology shit. And he was like, I'm not into all your astrology shit, Mo. And I'm like, I know. But eventually he started to get into it. He's like, I started reading and you're right. My wife is a da-da-da-da-da. His wife's a Libra, right? So he's like, my wife is da-da-da. So now I'm learning, and I learned about my daughter and I learned about my son and whatever. He's like, you know, I do be listening to you sometimes. Well, yes, that's how it goes. That's how the team goes. You want to rumba? You want to G with the big boys? Angels and empaths and light workers, we want to G with the big boys. Call in your tribe that are the big boys. Call in your tribe that are people that are actually capable of rising to the level of emotional maturity that you are, that even wants it. And start to figure out and seek out and see those Decepticons that are Transformers more than meets the eye, that are Decepticons right before your eyes, those Agent Smiths, those crabs in a barrel. Start to figure out those people that really don't want to change. They actually like their life. You know, in a situation that I had happen recently, what I realized is that the person was never going to change her situation because then she couldn't get to be the queen bee. She liked kind of lording over the people in her life and always getting to be right and go unchecked. And as much as I was thinking she wanted to change her reality and her partnerships around her, or whatever the case may be, in one specific area of her partnership with her spouse, with her husband, I realized, like, no, you don't really want to leave. You like being not only in control, but the full moral authority. And you kind of like shitting on this person. It doesn't mean that the person wasn't worthy of being shit on. Another story for another day that I'll never tell here. But what I'm saying is that I realized that she got to keep the behavior that was comfortable for her. While she could complain to me that she didn't like it, my spiritual and professional assessment was, you actually love it here, sis. You love it here. And you get to be like, I almost said King Dingling. Yeah, she was very much moving in like a King of Swords energy, which if you read, then you know what King of Swords is. It's some bullshit. We associate the King of Swords with narcissist. I don't know if she was a narcissist, but what I do know is that she liked the power dynamic of always being like the one with the upper hand. And so no matter how much she would cry into her lonely pillow at night, the truth of the matter is that scenario, situation, and relationship fit her just right, because she always would be needed and always would be in need of, and that's, codependency in one of the many flavors, of which I've had too. The reason I'm saying that to you, maybe some of you guys needed to hear that story, because some of you guys have watched relationships like that, and you've had people energy vamp off of you, and never did they really want to change their situation. How many of you guys have seen the really toxic, person at your family reunion? They're always fighting, knockdown, drag out, domestic abuse, violence, whatever, restraining orders, but then they're always back together. It's been 20 years, and then every time they want you to get involved and pull it apart and testify and be in court and all this BS, and they still want to be with that person because they like the mess. It's not easy to change. So I'm not looking at people or looking down on them because it's taken me years. Because I just told you I was in something for 20 years with someone. So I am no paragon or saint. What I am is a person who finally learned that you can't change people who don't want to change. And sometimes people know they don't want to change, but they also know that you're a delicious empath, your energy is tasty, and they want you to stay right next to them to refill them. With my twin, she was in a toxic relationship. She didn't want to leave it. She loved it. She's probably still in it to this day. But what she wanted was for me to come in and be like, you is kind, you is nice, you is wise, you is smart. She wanted me to stroke her little broken heart so that she can mend it and take all that energy back to her quote unquote karmic so that they can play another round of fight and fuck to make up. And I was like, I'm not staying here. Why do I need to be stuck to watch you do this? And I get nothing out of it. What will happen, empath, if you stay in those relationships with people that are happy to make you the villain when you leave, is that you'll be malnourished. And that's what they don't understand. And they don't give a fuck if you eat. Okay? And I'm not talking about actually eat. I'm talking about spiritually eat, emotionally eat. She was not feeding me. She was not loving me. She would come to me. She would love bomb me to get some energy and supply. Odin speaking again, more thunder. He said, yep, tell him, sis. She would love bomb me to come and get some supply so that she could go back to her person and they could play fight and fuck fight and whatever, right? Y'all have been in some connections like that. Even if you weren't romantically involved, emotionally, maybe you were a best friend and you had that dynamic, and maybe you were a cousin, you had that dynamic. But sometimes people don't want to leave. They love those people's dirty underwear. They do not want to leave from where they're at. They just want you to talk to them for the rest of their life about it. I, for example, I remember having cold feet before I got married. And then before I got married, talked about what the rules were going to be in my marriage with my husband. Got into the marriage. Remember playing Stepford wife and did everything perfect. And when I felt like he wasn't grateful for it and that this wasn't working for me, I recalibrated and took a look at the contract. Then started to actually do things that made me happy and started to outsource and made it be clearly known to everybody in my family and everyone around me. This is what it is. There's no secrets. There's no weirdness. This is what I'm doing. And I evolved throughout the last several years into something that now feels very healthy, where now actually I have all of a sudden found how delightful my husband is. Look at God. Look at how God is. Especially message when you stop commiserating with people that are fucking miserable, that love their misery. All of a sudden things flourish. It reminds me of a fire that happened around my mother's house many years ago, and everything burnt down, and all the palmetto trees, everything was like barren ash and dust, and then it replenished so beautifully. Sometimes you might burn something out, or something gets burned down, or something seems like it's going to be destroyed, and then it just comes back. And that's the theory regarding pruning, right? You cut something back to have it flourish more. Well, when I stopped putting my words onto within a commiserating stance organically, without coaching, without a lot of words, things in my marriage shifted beautifully. Surprised the shit out of me. And my angels were like, your word witchery, mine, guys, okay? Spilling my own tea and commiserating with someone who loved her misery was hindering this growth that I now enjoy and see. In fact, it's so funny. The last time I was around that person, she saw it too. And it surprised me. I'm sure she was surprised too, but she was like, oh my goodness, your husband's so affectionate with you. It reminds me of a rap song where they say, your compliments are starting to sound like bitterness. Yeah, he is. That's amazing. I don't know how this happened. That's not usually his way. While we love each other, things changed when I stopped being in someone's face who wanted to see me stay with her and not be happy. Okay? I actually want to be happy. And the reason I told the story about the way that I manage my relationship is this. People will kind of project their displeasure or their disdain or their disapproval onto you, sis. And that was something that was happening in that connection where I was like, okay, well, I have cold feet. I remember specifically talking to her about it. I get married. I assess it. I'm changed. I recalibrated my whole situation. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, well, you're in the same place. And it's because she wants to be in the same place. So I made all these changes over the span of however many years that I've been married. I've been with my husband for a long time, but we've been only married for about 6 years, okay? And so I made all these changes. We've been together over 15 years, okay? We've been together forever. But I made all these changes once I was actually officially married. And I'm a whole new person right now today, in a whole new skin. I've shedded my skin and all that stuff. And in the same place did that person stay. Some people will want you to stay there with them because what fun is it if they can't share their misery? You know? What fun is it? And it doesn't mean that there weren't moments where we had good husband chat moments and whatever the case may be. But more often than not, it was commiserating. And when my angels dropped the bottom out of me and said, hey, let's deal with this codependency you have. And you're not going to talk to anybody about this. You're going to talk to us. All of a sudden, things started to flourish without me having to push it, wish for it, script it, or even write it down. They said, we know what you want in your heart, but we had to wait for you to do your part. You see, that's shadow work. That's growth. That's change. Cutting off people that didn't want that, and then learning how to shut my own damn mouth and stop ruining my blessings brought something back to life that I didn't even think was possible and wasn't even worried about. I was literally outsourced. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go outside because I can't even see how this will ever be right. And they said it wasn't for you to see. It was for you to divorce yourself from people that are in love with their misery. So if you're the villain in that person's life afterwards, then let me be the villain day and night. Night and day, I am the one. Because what I want to do now is fly me to the moon and let me sit amongst the stars. Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter is expansion. Mars is anger. There's a point for your righteous indignation. In order for you to expand, you're going to have to get angry. Look at God. Look at the angels preaching. Fly me to the moon and let me sit amongst the stars, something, Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter is a planet of expansion and luck, and Mars is a planet of anger, ruled by Aries, the god of war. So what I'm going to tell you guys is that there is more in store for you. But in order for you to expand, you got to get angry with the people that are around you, that are purposely hindering you, that are that little white crowd trying to pull you back into the sand so they can have you for a snack before they go night-night and go right back to their woman or man where they love their misery. Get angry about that. Be indignant about that, and then set yourself free. And then Jupiter will be your reality. Expansion into something you couldn't even foresee. That's your message for today. Be the villain happily. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together.